He started it. Let's see, it's getting on. I was.
Okay, well, we're
Yeah,
gonna
it
keep
said
moving
it's
forward.
getting sound,
Yep,
so.
the meeting is gonna keep moving forward. So, public comment, you go right ahead.
Take two. My name is Zach Rausch, and I live at 3042 Holland Road in Howard, Wisconsin. I have been the art teacher at the primary school for the last 15 years. First, I would just like to thank the board for keeping the junior high music teacher position. It means so much to us in the arts to have the support needed to serve students well, rather than being stretched too thin. Truly put our hearts into our work on the evenings and the weekends. I'm here tonight to encourage you to vote yes on keeping the intermediate librarian position. First, the referendum passed with the understanding that we would retain our teachers. Reducing a teacher like Karen Ponceloff to a halftime at the primary school and halftime at the intermediate school does not align with that commitment. Second, the primary school provides the foundation for students' future success. Many of the skills and concepts students are later assessed on begin at this level. As students' needs and challenges have increased in recent years, Karen Ponceloff has become an invaluable resource in helping us support those students effectively. Karen provides tremendous support beyond traditional library instruction. She runs social groups after school for students referred by principals, counselors, and teachers who are experiencing social challenges. This expertise allows staff members to regularly turn to her when they need new strategies or resources to support students. She also just independently pursued professional development by applying for and attending the Truth-Based Relational Intervention Conference, paying her own way in order to better understand how to support students who have experienced trauma. That level of dedication is exactly the kind of leadership and expertise we need full-time at the primary school. Third, our 4K students would no longer have a regular library instruction. Karen currently meets face-to-face with 4K students every Monday through Wednesday, both in the morning and afternoon sessions. These early experiences help foster literacy, school readiness, and a love of reading from the very beginning. Finally, reducing instructional time by half would significantly reduce students' access to the consistent support and instruction they need at this important age level. All this to say is I respectfully ask you to vote yes to maintain a full-time librarian at the intermediate school so that Karen Ponceloff can remain full-time at the primary school. In addition to continuing the incredible work she already does with our students, she would also be able to mentor the new librarian and help the same strong program at the intermediate school. I can personally speak to her strengths as a mentor because she helped mentor me into a teacher I am today. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in open forum? Anyone else? Anyone else? All right, well then we're gonna move on. Thank you very much. Next part of our meeting will be our next meeting dates. Our next regular board meeting will be June 17th at 7 p.m. here in this room, and July 15th at 7 p.m. also here in this room. Next part of our agenda is board and administration opening comments. Is there anyone from the board or administration that has anything before we move on? Dave, go ahead.
I did attend the CISA 7 Board of Control reorganization meeting on behalf of Jenny, who wasn't able to attend that board. I did address the full attendance that was there. There was 4 positions open. There were 5 school districts looking to go ahead and fill those 4 spots. I was able to explain why Luxemburg-Casco would be a good fit for their Board of Control, and we now have our seat back on the CISA 7 Board of Control.
Good. Thank you, Dave. Thanks for doing that.
We do have sound back on. She said I can hear Tim, so we just need everybody to speak up a little bit louder.
Sounds good. Everyone heard that now. It's nice and loud, outside voice. Anyone else from the board or administration? Okay, we're gonna move on then. Next part of our board agenda is consent agenda. Under that, we have multiple things that we approve at once. Our April 27th regular board minutes, May 6th finance committee minutes, May 6th HR committee minutes, May 7th building and ground meeting minutes, our financial statement for April, our monthly bills and receipts for April, a bunch of employment, and some resignations. Seeing all that together, do I have a motion to approve and accept?
I want to have one item pulled,
Okay, what is it, Dave?
the April 27th regular board meeting minutes.
Okay.
Other than that,
Okay. Explanation why?
Um, first of all, she does a great job.
Yes,
No ifs, ands, or buts about it. The only thing was on this one, on the public comments area, I don't believe that as part of the minutes, it should be editorialized where the line, these individuals spoke from their heart and the room was filled with more. That's really, I feel, not appropriate for part of the minutes, because the minutes should be well said, et cetera, but not putting our take, our emotions or whatever on it. So just to strike that one line.
the board members hearing that. With Dave's ask there, I mean, are we asking for correction, Dave? Is that
Yes,
what you're
we
asking?
asked-
Bring it
we
back
had
at the
one
next board
sentence
meeting?
removed as a correction,
Okay, and bring it back at the next board meeting? Is that what you're asking?
if need be.
Okay,
If Jenny's fine with it, just having struck that.
Yeah,
doesn't
either,
affect that.
either way, I guess we've done it sometimes where we've approved it with like approved with this correction,
Yes.
or we've done approve the consent agenda minus that item, and then it comes back on the next agenda, just so that if
And-
that's the way we go, I don't forget to.
okay. Why don't we take care of it tonight
Yeah,
with,
I would
with what Dave is asking, if we can strike that, and then we can have our motion and we can move forward and that can be put into our past history then, so we don't have to worry about it for next board. If that's okay with the board?
Yeah.
Yes? Okay,
I'm fine.
are you making a motion then, Dave, with that
Yes.
exception? Okay, so I have a motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
Sorry.
Second by Alex. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next part of our agenda is our administrative reports. Tyson, are you able to get started for us?
Absolutely. Wrap it up end of the year type of things. Last week we had graduation. 164 students walked across the stage last Wednesday night. Great evening, really nice ceremony. The student speakers did a really fantastic job with their speeches. Mark Chandron was our distinguished alumni, which he did a really nice job as well. This was a fun class. There were a lot of kids that were hardworking kids, taking a lot of college credits away with them as well. Jolynn Helgeson shared at our award ceremony earlier that day that this graduating class has made over $2 million in youth apprenticeship money, which was a staggering number to hear, to say the least, which was awesome. At that award ceremony, we gave out over $1 million in scholarships to students as well. So just a lot of great things here, ending out the year. And then obviously with graduation last Wednesday night, it was a really nice evening for our graduates, and now they're off to do bigger and better things. So looking forward to seeing what they do.
Thanks, Tyson. Any questions for him? No? All right, Todd?
Well, since the last board meeting, as far as spring sports are concerned for the middle school, they started and ended. You added a week until the next board meeting, so that happened. End of the year things as well, cleaning, our award ceremony is coming up last day of school, some of the field trips, kinds of things. But we're also getting ready for next year. The sixth graders have made their way over, the kids from St. Mary's. Another one, so the tours have been happening and getting to know the middle school a little bit. So we're looking forward to it.
Questions from Todd? All right, thank you much. Heather?
So on Friday this past week, we did a Minute to Win It celebration for our students. If you recall, at the start of the year, we reported out on our school success plan. One of my goals was tied to recess referrals and trying to reduce the amount of referrals we had at recess. As of last week, we had 273 recess referrals. Last year, at this point, we had 380. So we actually reduced by about 39%. And instead of doing a treat, just because that kind of gets mundane and at the end of the year, there's a million treats flying around. We found a different way to celebrate the students, and we ended up having 5 different minute to win it challenges. Students had the opportunity to put their name in the hat. We randomly selected before each event and then just had a really great competition. The grade level that had the most points at the end of it won our Spartan Trophy, which has been historically in 3rd grade since I've been here. So it was nice to see another grade level take it, but I think Joellen can attest, like, it was a very exciting assembly. The kids were
Very
absolutely
loud.
insane, but in a good way. But it was just a really fun way to celebrate the success of the students from this year. And then if you haven't already seen, we are doing our first ever fun run. That's this Saturday, 10 till noon. We have 230 participants, which is extremely exciting. When we were at 60, I was happy about that, thinking, you know, like, that's all we're going to get. It's year one. Especially given that summer sports have really kicked off, and I think it's hard to bring people in for these types of events. But this is over at our athletic complex. If you're interested in popping out, feel free to do so. It's meant to be a family community event, regardless if you run or walk or not. We do have 2 food trucks available as well, just to, again, kind of liven up the event that we're holding. So
So who won the Spartan Trophy?
the 4th grade team did, yeah. Which is sad for the kids, right? They're like, we get it for 3 days. Like, yep. And then it's the other 4th, the incoming 3rd graders who get it again. But it was, like I said, a really fun way to do it. We're gonna have to probably try to do an event like this every year, just because the kids really enjoyed it. And it was friendly competition for the most part. There was some booing that I had to, you know, shut down, but overall it was a good time.
Any other questions? Thank you. Pete?
Well, just winding down with end of the year stuff. Each grade level took a little bit of a field trip. Kindergarten went to Jokey Farm. 1st grade went to the wildlife sanctuary since our last board meeting. 4K went to Bremer Park. And our 2nd graders took a field trip up to the intermediate school to familiarize themselves with. They took their field trip actually earlier in the year to Barkhausen during the maple syrup time. But kindergarten had their end of the year celebration performance last Friday up here at the intermediate, or at the high school, I mean, in the auditorium. Tomorrow we have our 4K graduation. And we're just winding down to the last day for our field day, and looking forward to having some fun with the kids on Thursday. So
Thanks, Pete. Questions for Pete?
Did the kindergartners do the FFA petting zoo? Or was there an FFA petting zoo? That's typically been at the end of the school year, hasn't it?
they did it earlier, I think.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
that was a while back.
Any other questions for Pete? No? Okay, thank you. Jane?
Like everybody else winding down the year, staffing becomes very busy at this time of year as there's moving pieces. So trying to coordinate interviews, things like that. Attending a lot of IEPs as it's the end of the year and a lot of kids are transitioning to a new grade level, trying to make sure that they're set up and ready to go for that next level. I also last week had the opportunity to give out 2 WCAS awards. WCAS is a professional organization that I belong to, and they allow for you to nominate staff and students. So I nominated 1 teacher and 1 student. They both were given that award. So they got a little certificate and a little gift card. And I had a chance to read my nomination. So Jackie Wessel was the teacher. She's our 4K special education teacher who was awarded that. And then I had a student at Heather's building. So we had quite a bit of staff and the family come in to kind of celebrate the success of that student. So it was definitely a highlight of my last month of being able to kind of recognize some of the great work that's happening here. And then I would also say I've been pretty busy with Spartan Sprouts and kind of getting that up and running. We've had a high interest in the registration. That went pretty quickly. We closed it early. And so now it's kind of trying to work on those logistics to get that off the ground and ready to go for next year.
Questions for Jane? All right, thank you very much. Rebecca?
I'm working more on end of year stuff, closing out purchase orders with staff, and all the administrative assistants are working with the teachers to help me on that, so that when they leave, I'm not stuck with finding out where all these invoices are. And starting to work on end of year budget revisions. I know last year we had that first budget revision, so I'll be bringing that to the June meeting to show you that. And then received information recently from the audit for the prelim. So I'm like, I feel like she was just here. So it's just kind of like, "Oh, here we go." So just busy with all that.
In case you haven't heard, Highway AB is due to be resurfaced in the summer of 27. So I talked to the engineer and then, talked to, the county highway commissioner about, looking at our traffic patterns, for morning, drop off and afternoon pickup. And so actually I have a meeting with Marty tomorrow because he took a look at it. He took a look at our Safe Schools, grant, booklet that came up with a bunch of suggestions. And we're gonna see about, some things we can do to help improve the traffic flow that we have in the front. Also, legislatively, there was a, bill that would, spend down some of the state's surplus. And it would be an increase in special ed reimbursement for us. There was, some, property tax relief for technical colleges, income tax relief. It passed the assembly, it got voted down in the Senate. So, that would have helped us, tremendously for our special ed. Our additional special ed reimbursement would have been $246,000. And for our general aid, which is not actually aid to the school, it comes in the form of equalization aid, but it actually is tax relief for our tax base, was $681,000. So that's what we're not getting. The Marquette University Law School, did a survey and 80% of Wisconsin adults say that this bill should have been approved. So, now there is talk about it coming back. The only way it can happen is if the governor, has a special session. If he demands a special session, senators have to show up, but they don't have to do anything, which means that they can gavel in and gavel right back out and not make any decisions or discuss anything if they don't want to. So there's a question about whether or not, Governor Evers would even attempt to force a special session or not.
Anything else?
No.
Questions for Joelle? Right before we move on, I want to make a little comment here. There's going to be a little change to our HR committee. I was on there, but my daughter Rachel is a speech language pathologist for the school district. She works in Jane's department. So for the betterment of the district and the perception of that, I am removing myself from that committee and Linda will be taking my spot. So just so the board understands that, that's the reason why that change happened, okay? Next, we're going to move on, discussion item, presentation of our district strategic plan. Joanna, you gonna run with that?
Okay, well, actually, we have Lori Miller here
All right.
from, the Donovan Group, who's been, working with us as our consultant as we've been doing the strategic plan. It's not over here. Yes. It's really perfect. Thank you. And it looks like that cooler is used to being there because it wasn't away, so that's good too.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Dr. Lori Miller, and I am a Donovan Group partner. Donovan Group is a nationwide leader in communications and community engagement for schools. That's our why. And we're actually headquartered in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, so we're very familiar with Wisconsin school districts. And I'm very grateful to be here to share with you the work that has been occurring in the district over the past few months. My gosh, we started in the fall, right? So we are here to talk about your new strategic plan. So I thought it'd be good to start our conversation about your plan by reminding ourselves, why is it important to have a plan? And if you think about your role on the board, this is an opportunity for you to have a guide, a guideline that has been created by many voices in your community to say, this is the work that we need to focus on. It was a collective engagement opportunity around your why, your students. It gives you great intention and focus moving forward about where do we want to spend our time? Where do we want to maybe allocate resources to support the work, again, that our voices of this community have said is most important? It'll guide decision-making. It helps at the building and site levels to set very specific actions for progress that align to that guide. And it offers all of us the opportunity to monitor our success. Are we making the gains that we intended to see or achieve? If we're not, then we can reevaluate and adjust our goals as necessary. So think about it like a roadmap, if you will. When we do strategic planning, the Donovan Group uses 5 phases that you see here on the left-hand side. And I'm going to walk you through what did it look like for each of those phases from a very high level. But ultimately, we use the 5-phase approach to accomplish what you see on the right-hand side. Often we get a question like, well, what is a strategic plan? And it can be very nebulous, I think, for people. So as we work on a plan, we set a mission, which is why we exist as a school district. We set a vision, which is where do we want to go if we're successful, right, with our students. We created a first piece of your portrait of a Spartan, and that's what success looks like for our students upon graduation. We set priority areas, and this is really the heart of the plan because these are the areas that we all landed on that we think is really important for future success. So that's where we're going to want to focus. And then for each of those priority areas, we set goals, strategies, and indicators of success. That's how we execute the plan. Okay, so I think that might help as we walk through these next steps. So that first phase is planning and preparation. And during that time, we set a calendar of all the things that we're going to do for the strategic planning process. We developed a brand, and I see that it's not loading, so just give me 1 second. Let's refresh. Sometimes that happens. And now it's not going to let me have anything. That never happens when you're presenting, right? Okay, here we go. Let's try that again. There it is, because it's so important to share with you. There we go. You'll see here that we worked with your students actually at the high school to create a process brand. So that is work that we did with our lead designer and was really fun to have your students say, this is what we think of when we think of our school district. And we created announcements for, and you can see those examples here. We had a postcard mailer for a survey. We invited individuals to participate in our planning work group, which the work group was comprised of staff, community members, anyone who wanted to participate. And then during that time, we also prepared a survey that we used with all of your staff and community. With that survey, we launched into the next phase, which is assessment and feedback. So during this phase, we try to learn as much as possible about the district, and we really lean hard on your leadership team for that. We shared with our planning work group the historical perspective of the district. We did a state of the district report with our planning work group, like here's what's going really well. Where we've been focused on continuous improvement in the past. We shared the survey, and I was here many months ago, shared that survey with the board, the results of that. And from the survey, we also conducted focus groups. So on the right-hand side, you'll see we had 602 respondents to that survey. That gave us really good feedback for the planning work group. And then you can see we did focus groups we did that with you all as a board. We did it with school and district leaders, students even, staff members, families, business partners, community members, all in the effort to, again, just really understand what is working really well here in the district, what do we want to continue to sustain, and where do we think we could have an opportunity to stretch ourselves and be even better than we are today. I wanted to share with you at a really high level some of the themes that we got out of this assessment. So I'll just kind of run through these very quickly, but we learned that there's a lot of pride in this district, and particularly in the work of the staff and the students. There's a lot of pride in the amount of opportunities that are provided through this tiny district for your students. There are a lot of robust opportunities. There's definitely a priority on making sure our students have strong foundations in like reading, math, right, the cores, but also having a strong base for life skills. One feather in your cap is the work that you all do around career pathways and providing authentic experiences for your students. And that's something that your community, your staff want to see continue to grow. There's concern about making sure that staff stay, right? Like, and that's just, we see that across the country right now. There's a shortage in the profession, and it's clear from the survey focus groups that your staff is beloved. And there's tradition here and legacy with some of your educators. And so it's really important to your audiences that they stay. There's a desire to continue to deepen partnerships across the community and with business leaders to support the students. A need for coherence and consistent follow through. We heard, to give you an insight on this, we heard that there's been a lot of good initiatives and strategies that have been deployed in the district. You just need to make sure that we see them through to the end, right? Want to keep that emphasis on rigor and relevance. The reputation of this district outside of you all is that this is an excellent district for student outcomes and performance. And so I think that's because of the focus on rigor and relevance that you already have. Want to see continued supports of creating a sense of belonging for our students that speaks to mental health needs of your students. Also, communication and financial transparency is important to our audiences moving forward. And lastly, you see future readiness. I think everyone's thinking, what does the future bring for education, for schools? How do we navigate that so that we can make sure our students are prepared and ready? So those are just some of the high level themes that we got out of that assessment piece. Then we moved into engagement and planning. And through that phase, we hosted a community engagement session here in this room. And then we brought together that planning work group. We initially started with 3 Saturdays of 4 hours each. And we ended up adding another one to make sure that we had good consensus across the group to present to you what we're doing tonight. But some of the things that we did during those Saturdays is we toured the high school career and technical education areas. And I think that was really, I guess, like a highlight for many that participated. Many of them had not been in those spaces, and so it was nice to see the progress that's been made there. We reviewed all of the themes that I just shared with you in relation to their own perspectives and experiences here in the district. And then I would ask the group each time, what is it that they wanted to know more about the district to help them do their work of setting priorities for continuous improvement moving forward. And then they did a lot of participation in activities and discussions to help us get to what we're sharing with you tonight. So let's talk about what did they come up with, right? So let's start with the mission. Again, the mission is, why do we exist? We tested your current mission statement, which was read, at the beginning of your meeting. I love that practice. You can see that here up at the top. When we surveyed, just a little over 90% of our respondents said, yeah, this is why we exist. This still rings true. I agree with this statement. When we got together at the planning work group, we made just a few adjustments there, right? You can see that we just added, we're keeping it almost the same, but instead of promote excellence, we're saying grow excellence. And so that is our proposed new mission statement. And then we're adding that tagline of inspire, challenge, and grow right before we are Spartans, which captures the verbs or the action of this mission statement. For the vision is where we're going if we're successful. So our previous one, you can see, again, pretty good support. 88% say, yeah, this is what we're doing here. This is where we're heading with our students. You can see that the group made a few adaptations. The first one, not to be redundant, I guess, is to use the word adapt here. They thought that that was important, that we're preparing our students not only to thrive, but to adapt in the global community by ensuring excellence. And we're keeping the same spirit here of intellect and virtue, but we thought character maybe was the better word to capture what we mean by virtue. Okay. Then we talked about, okay, if we're successful with our mission and vision, what does that look like for our students when they graduate? And we identified the set of like competencies or skills that we want all of our graduates to have by the time they graduate. Now, the portrait of a graduate, or a portrait of, this case, we're calling it a portrait of Luxemburg-Casco Spartan, is a strategy that we're seeing being deployed across the state as well as across the country. And so this is a start to that process based on the feedback from your group. You can see intellect is on the left-hand side from that vision statement, and character is on the right-hand side, with life skills being in the middle. And the life skills are durable skills from work that I know members of your admin team are already focused on with the Department of Public Instruction and your CISAs, to say these are the skills that our kids need to be successful in the future. So we're trying to capture that. The next piece comes with this is taking this and implementing it into your curriculum and your teaching and learning, and doing so at all levels, right? So what does that look like? Like, for example, what does critical thinking look like at pre-K? What does critical thinking look like in kindergarten, first grade, second grade, all the way up? So that we're giving our students the opportunity to have success in these skills that they're going to need to be successful by the time they graduate. This is work, yeah, right?
Yeah.
Joanne, that we still have to work, but we wanted to give you a sense of where that conversation took us. Then what we did is we're like, okay, what do we need to focus on as our priorities? We conducted a traditional SWOT activity, which stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, or threats. I like to say areas for growth instead of weaknesses. So here you can see what the group identified for each of those different areas. And you'll notice under opportunities and threats that there are some words that are in bold, and you'll see numbers behind them. When we had that meeting where we had analyzed our strengths and areas for growth, and we identified opportunities for us to move forward and what could threaten our success, we then asked the group to essentially vote with dots where they think we should be prioritizing our efforts. And so you can see mental health received a lot, communication received a lot, funding and budget received a lot, and staffing received a lot. And there's a lot of overlap between each of the 4 boxes, which is ideal because we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. So where we landed is we've identified 6 priority areas, and you can see them here. The first one is around our students and their success. A priority is making sure our students are college, career, and life ready. You can see the mental health piece here and that sense of belonging under student well-being. Academic, creative, and technical excellence. This is talking about all those innovative things that you're already doing and taking it to the next level. You see a focus on staff recruitment, growth, or retention. Probably not a surprise, right? Based on what we heard. Communication, trust, and partnerships. This is where communication and building deeper engagement lies. And then operations and facility management. I'll tell you, when we do this work, often you'll see priority areas fall into these kind of buckets of what are we doing for students? What are we doing to have the best staff? What are we doing with our community? And what are we doing for operations and facilities? So I think that that's really well captured in the priorities that came forward from your group. So pulling it all together, this is a fact sheet. A fact sheet will just from a very high level visually share your new strategic plan. It only shares the vision, the mission, and your priority areas. So these are the key components of your new plan, and this is going to guide our work over the next 3 years. So now comes an even more challenging piece of the work, and this we keep with the internal team because now it's about executing the plan. And that's why you have, a superintendent, and that's why you have a leadership team, because this is the work that they are charged with every day. So they have been working already on taking each priority area and drafting out what our goals will be what strategies we know are gonna give us the most success or the best return on investment with our time around these strategies, and then how we're gonna measure that. So this again is completed by our district leadership team. And this will help them map out actions, particularly for the schools and the sites and for each of your departments over the next 3 years. So the last phase then is implementation. And so during that phase, which that's kind of where we're at right now, is we're working to finalize that internal work with your leadership team. And then the Diamond Group is gonna, as a communications firm, we're gonna help you communicate this new plan. And hopefully we do it in a way that you love, right? Because we want to share this with your students, your staff, your families and community. And we want to do it in a way that it serves as promotional material for you as well, to help attract maybe new hires, maybe to attract new families, or just to retain those that you have and serve already, but also to just continue to invest in the pride of the district. Our plan is to roll out officially all these communications with the launch of the new school year, which is, in fiscal periods and everything else, July 1st. So we're getting close to that. And you can see here is an example of just the start of a brochure for the strategic plan that goes way more into depth than just the fact sheet that shows the key components. So what's next is there's a lot of work on our team, my production team, to create a number of things that we typically do to help you share your new plan. And I always like to, when I do this presentation to boards, just remind you, like, what's your role, right now, moving forward? We hope that you'll use the plan to guide your decision-making moving forward. I've often seen, I'm a former school superintendent myself. I've often seen boards sometimes face really challenging decisions, and it's hard to know what's the right direction to take at times. I find there's maybe safe harbor in going back to what your strategic plan has laid out to see if there's any good guidance there when you're making those type of decisions. Because again, that came from your community. And that is what we think is most important for you. We also think it's going to be important that you ensure regular monitoring of the goals, making sure that we're being successful. Because if we're not, then we're not deploying the right strategies, right? And then we need to adjust. And to continue to collaborate with district leadership to really fully execute the plan, making sure that the plan doesn't just sit out in space somewhere, but that we're actually using it to guide our continuous improvement work. So I just wanted to say a few more things about my time here. You all have, this, you really have an exceptional place to be right here. Your students, they're driven. You can see that. Their performance demonstrates that. Your teachers, your staff, they're all in. You wouldn't get the results that you're getting with your students if they weren't. And there's mutual respect between your students and staff, and your community members see that. They came through the doors and they said, we love the staff. They recognize that you're doing great things as a district, and the strategic plan is just set for you to take those next steps. You already got great things going on. It's just continuing a momentum to carry you forward. And your district leadership team, they made this plan and process really unique and special, because each time we met with your planning work group and asked them, what do you need? And they shared, this team came up with really innovative ways to address those needs and to share with the group. And that really helped shape this whole plan. So really just impressed. Of course, I grew up in Wisconsin, love Wisconsin, but now I travel the country all over and do this work. And I can tell you that it was really nice to come here each time, because the people here are just beautiful and nice, and really caring about the work that's in front of you. So thank you for that and sharing your community with me. I'm happy to answer any questions or hear any reactions that you have. I'll quit talking at you and let you talk at me for a little bit.
Must have done such a good job that no question.
No questions?
We enjoyed having you.
Oh, well, thank you. And I was really appreciative, maybe not so much for the donuts those Saturday mornings, but they were really good. Someone's a good baker in the area, right? I'm available at any time. You have questions, you're part of our family. So please, reach out if you need to. And I have still many months of work ahead for your team here to make sure that they're ready to go come July 1st. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Lori, and I thank everybody from the community also.
Yes.
Part of it. Understand, give their vision, thoughts to it, to make it successful. So thank you.
But you thought you were in Florida.
I'm going back tomorrow.
See if it's warm.
Next part of our agenda is action items, discuss and approve LC Empower Wear Prints, a student-run enterprise. That's come out to talk about it, all right? We'll turn it over to you.
Oh, look at your.
I'm Morgan Cherney, I'm a high school special ed teacher. Dylan Helgeson, I'm the apprenticeship coach here at Luxemburg-Casco. I'm part of NUYA, sponsored through CISA 7.
I'm Monica Woodrock. I am the marketing teacher in the high school and a master of weirdness in the middle school for careers and computer technology, I guess. There's really not one specific thing in middle school.
All right, so we're here to present the proposal of InfoWare prints. So this would be a student-run screen printing business with students with disabilities and without disabilities. And our goals would just be to provide structure, authentic work experience that extend the classroom instruction, increase career readiness and post-secondary goals, develop employability, manufacturing, and marketing skills, and promote inclusion, independence, and post-secondary readiness for all students. So we have a video just explaining our why and how this idea all started.
Right. Okay, can you hold up the shirt? Show me the arms.
Perfect. So this is a student who showed interest in what the marketing students were doing in the school store. So he was given the opportunity to use like the Cricut heat press to try to make his own shirt. And when I talked to him about this experience after, he said it gives me purpose. I asked him, how does it make you feel? He said important. I asked him why he likes working. He said, I like working because I like learning new skills. I asked him about InfoWare. He's familiar with it. He said that would make him feel good. And his favorite part of that job was picking out the designs to put on the shirt. So just a little bit about the student impact. This is another video of a student who's in the marketing class. She's also active in Best Buddies. And just her thoughts on how this would all impact the entire school.
It's not really sure why the video is not playing, but Bryn was very understanding. She can see the purpose of it. Every morning she comes into my classroom and Brendan is sitting in there waiting for the middle school to be able to go to his classroom in the middle school. And they have a wonderful conversation. They tell me things that he talks about that I have no idea that he knew. And she can see the purpose behind this, and he loves to show off his shirt. I don't know if you may have seen him wearing it. He wears it through the school. It's one of his favorite shirts he wears because it's bright colors and it gets to show that school spirit. So Bryn has been a great influence and actually showing that support with Brenda.
So earlier this spring, we took a little field trip to another company that kind of does the same thing. So our goal was to do that all-inclusive student-run clothing company. So we went to Chilton, and their facility doesn't only do t-shirt printing. They're building like tiny circuit boards that they're working with other community businesses to help get some of that work done. But after doing like screen printing and things like that, the way that we're kind of proposing for this to run the DTF process, which Monica will talk a little bit about that, is what they ended up going with. But this is kind of their setup. It all takes place mostly in one classroom sized room.
Yeah, and it's what they found is that it's very simple. You'll see the white is part of the printer, so it prints off decals, and they're able to cut them and then just heat press them, and we can mass produce them pretty quickly. The printer can kick out about 100 prints in an hour, and so the students would be able to do a lot with that. And it doesn't have the process of screen printing where you have all the inks and you need the dark rooms and you need all of that. So it makes it a lot easier and more accessible, or more opportunities of different designs and different things for us to actually move forward. So what we're looking at is really when the school store started doing this process, we started getting a lot of interest from different departments in the school, because we were able to make it at a decent price point, and it was giving the kids that actual opportunity to show their work skills. And the school store just could not keep up with that and still learn their college level stuff and do all of the other marketing pieces. So I had approached them about, would this be something that we could do? And in the month of April, I had 2 orders for over 200 t-shirts that I ended up doing just so that we could do it. One was to support the musical because my kids are in it, and then the other was the primary school, and to show exactly what it would take. And it's a great opportunity. And we've had a lot of interest. We had people saying, I think we had 17 responses or 18 responses from different organizations in the school district that said they would be willing to work with our group and have this organization print shirts for their organization. And that was the musical, cross country, the running club. There was just a wide variety. And we have a lot of different opportunities as well because of the fact that we have the setup through the school store so that we could possibly do specialty stores as well. Or teams, whatnot. So what we are looking at is giving more responsibility to a marketing student. So they would be in charge of doing all the marketing, the accounting, the training of individual with the manufacturing position. And they would be going out and approaching for sales as well. So they would get a very well-rounded YA position in the business field, business marketing field. Our manufacturing would be getting a lot more skills. This one we were looking at a possibility of one of our students that struggled to go outside and get an opportunity. But we've also talked about bringing the students in and using that area for a possible lab to give all the students in Ms. Cherney's room a possibility to see that work experience within the school district, within the school, so we don't.
So I run a transition and careers course. So I'd bring my class in there that they would earn credit for working in here. And also best buddies. So we do best buddy hangouts outside of school and during the school, like Spartan time and stuff. So they could take their buddy and just go in there and do some of the work, like sorting the clothes, folding, labeling. There's a lot of repetitive jobs for those students.
So as we were talking with the administration, a room that did stick out was room 403, which is located in,
It's back by the Fab Lab.
yeah, the Fab Lab. And in that hallway in between Fab Lab and the math and biology science wing. So it has an opportunity there. It can be blocked, and it has also access to different parts of the building that are accessible for all levels. These are things that we are looking at purchasing. So we need a computer to actually do the graphic design and all the marketing pieces, the accounting pieces, so that it can function. Printer for our orders so that we can keep them in order. We need what we found is we needed to have a humidifier. When we went to Chilton, they had mentioned that with the dry air, with the forced air, it has been causing their print heads to dry out. So the humidifier was needed for that. We also are looking to buy an industrial DTF printer that would have a dryer shaker. So when it was printing, it would print out this big roll of these prints, and then we just have to cut them out. So it would make it a process quite easy. And then the heat presses. We were looking at different heat presses to be able to offer different opportunities for some of our other students as well. So those are some of the things, the equipment that we would need to do this. Okay, so there's the printer, and then the heat press. Here is what we're kind of looking at. So these are some of the costs. Now this is just to bare bones it, just to get us so that we can print stuff and make stuff. So it was $18,903. The printer, I have been working with the vendors to drop and try and get that lower, but way things are going, it's been an up and down rodeo. So some of our supplies that we need on a yearly basis, more of the ink, film, cleaner, the glue powder, shirts, boxes, tape. So just get, and then these are what we're looking at possibly offering. So hoodie at the $35. Now this is the same Gildan product that we sell at the school store. We can get a wider variety, and the prices would go up if somebody wanted a Nike or Adidas brand. But this would be real basic stuff that if they're looking for a shirt that we can be competitive with our local community. So what we would look at, so I figured we could do about 200 shirts a month. So we're making about $12,000 a year. For t-shirts, crew necks, not as many people look for those crew necks when we sent our survey. Long sleeves, they weren't a lot. The DTF sheet, the school store, the printer that we had purchased lasted about a month to 2 months before it died on us, and I'm still working on it, but I have to talk to technicians in China to get it up and running, so that's been a challenge I'm hoping to, but what we've been doing is ordering from the separate company and shipping it in. So we would, instead of ordering from the separate company, we would order from Empowerware and actually give them business for us to be able to sell stuff in the school store. So this is where we start to really look at our youth apprenticeships. The pay, what is that
So the pay is about where the other YA students in the district are. Some are a little bit higher, some are a little bit lower in terms of what those kids get paid. The hours, the 450 comes from the Department of Workforce Development. That is how many hours a student has to work to complete a youth apprenticeship. 200 of those hours can be completed in the summer. They don't have to be. So that's what we're kind of looking at for the marketing one. And then the manufacturing processes. So the Department of Workforce Development does allow students to break up that 450 hours if they have an IEP. So this could allow some of our students that maybe be in Morgan's room to not have to work a 450 hour for just a school year. They could split that into a junior year and a senior year and then still complete the Department of Workforce Development YA certificate in manufacturing.
So yeah, so that goes into our cost of 18,000. And with all of the expenditures after startup costs, so then we had $17,000 when we start bringing in the other items. Well, I figure we would be doing after paying for all of the our employees, we'd be making about $9,000, and we would have about $3,000 that we'd be able to pay towards additional revenue. The one thing that we found out last week, so you, I believe, all received updated worksheets. I was talking with Mr. Snowberry, and he had mentioned that Mr. Nowak had reached out, because I had reached out to him to see if he would be willing to donate, and he was willing to donate $17,000 to our startup costs, which I didn't find out until after we had sent this. So those were updated numbers. We had updated the amount that we're actually asking to a lower amount to help include the payroll to get us started, and then we'd be able to pay that back. I'm expecting about 3.5 years to pay back the 11,000. Instead of asking for the 17,000, we're asking only for 11. But I believe we might be able to pay that off sooner, depending on if we can, because we're going to continue to look for different partnerships and do various fundraising to help drive this so that we can eventually be self-sufficient and pay back everything. So when we start looking at it, this is where we're hoping to get approval for this business to be started. The $12,000 for payroll. That's real, and the little bit of equipment that did not get covered within the 17,000 from DNS Machine Services. We had $2,000 from Hooray for Hollywood, which we received already, and the school store would like to donate $5,000 to help get the printing press and some of the services started, so that they can also be a part of this and help with this business as well. So then that's where we're also looking to get approval for the marketing youth apprenticeship and the manufacturing youth apprenticeship. So, questions?
Very good presentation.
I just have a question, trying to understand the numbers.
Yes.
Are you using the donations to spread out then the 3 years? Cause when
Well,
I look at your yearly
yes.
expenses
Yes.
and your yearly
are you,
revenue, you guys are actually short every year. So that, to me, then you're using the donations to cover that.
if we are, but I believe I've shorted our sales. I believe we're gonna
Take more than
take
that.
more than that once we actually have a student going out and selling.
Okay,
But I didn't wanna put it too much, like, too much, so that's again why we also were looking at the $11,000 to make sure that we had enough for the payroll to move
got it,
forward.
okay.
And, again, depending on the manufacturing YA, that could also, the 450 may not be the full, so that might be 2 years, so then that's also going to cut down on that payroll.
What's the life expectancy of the equipment?
The life expectancy, they figure 10 to 12 years of that printer as long as we are maintaining it. We are working with the same company that they have, it's a roll, the one that a new company just came back with a Roland printer that is working with H2I, which is a company that works with school districts and will maintenance. They'll help us maintenance, they'll help us train us, all within a fee that is exactly where the other one was, but they weren't going to come in, we would just do online training. So the equipment we would be eventually having to replace, but I believe by that point we can flip it, and the equipment's also starting to continuously come down. When I first started looking at DTF printing years ago, it was $25,000 to $35,000 for a printer. And now it is definitely dropped for this size. And at that point, and depending on how big we get, we may need to get a bigger one anyway at that point. But this is a larger one, because this one will do 100 feet in an hour. They'll print 100 feet of DTF in an hour. So that can be a considerable, considering the one that the bookstore bought, we could, or the school store bought, we could do 3 feet in an hour. So, and it has made the school store very profitable and being able to meet the demand of different decals and different imprints that people are looking.
Any concern about this competing with any other local businesses? Quantities, pricing.
We are right there with all of their pricing. And at this point, we are really not taking away from the people that we talk to. They aren't doing local. They're using people out of Madison and out of the area.
The $5,000 from the apparel store?
Yeah.
When the apparel store was it started similar to this as a presentation to the board and asking for X amount of dollars and?
I don't think so. I think that I have no idea, because I know that we had taken over all the inventory from Quality,
Okay,
and it just started. Like, I don't know how that all.
And we were purchasing directly from Quality, and just we were selling out of the school store versus out of their storefront. But
okay,
part of the agreement was that Sue was helping with the business and the marketing and helping, educate the students about running a business as well.
Mhm.
And then after that initial, we had a contract with her, so 7-year exclusive contract with her. And then 7 years later, we found that, like students had different innovative, they wanted to do designs, but maybe they only wanted to do 5 shirts. Or like when we do powder puff football for the girls, they all have team shirts, but you only need 12 team shirts or something. So there were smaller quantities that were difficult to get done, and so we started doing those like in the school store, and we can a lot more flexibility for kids.
So
And
when the
so
school
we
store is
did renew
profitable,
our
that's actually
contract with
profit.
Quality.
It's not like.
Yeah, no, it's complete total
Their
profit.
donation is actually a donation, not like.
Yeah, no,
going
no.
back 5 years.
No, because when I first started here, we were 19, we owed the school $19,000. And we have paid that off, and now we have money that we can then donate.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it is and we're finding different routes to become even more profitable and getting the students more interested and more excited about it and using those funds for different things, so.
And the idea is, well, that school store would still stay as the school
Yes.
store.
Yeah.
This would kind of take over for some of the more of those bulk items
Yes,
is what it would be, and I think, Monica Morgan Angela did a nice job explaining everything, but we have how many camps that we run between volleyball and softball and football and things like that, that we're going out and buying these things from a BSN or a sports world, when we can have our students that are producing it and working with Morgan's students to teach them life skills as well. But I really see this limitless possibilities. You look at, there was just the big Spartan Challenge softball tournament in town here. They made t-shirts for that. Like I could see something like that where that organization is coming to us to do this. How many little league teams that are around in here as well. You have DNS that's making a donation, but he buys work shirts for people all the time. Like there's probably limitless possibilities on where this could go to not only bring in some money, but teach our students a lot of good life skills as well.
I think
But I
that's
see the school store is still the smaller orders.
That's
More bulk.
definitely one of the benefits. I know Morgan's had a few students where it's been difficult getting them out into the community to work. I think if they had a stepping stone where they had a place within a building where they're comfortable and they were getting some of those working skills, we might actually be able to get them out into the community and into the workforce. But there's been a few that have been kind of fit that example where been nervous to get into that work environment. So I think this might be a nice stepping stone for some of those students.
Board members, any other questions? All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Well, is there anything else on talk about before I ask that motion? Rebecca?
No, it's just that this is really similar to what Mike just asked, Mike, for like a loan for the district to be repaid back.
Yeah.
So it's very similar. The motion would just have to change to also include the DNS donation.
And then the
Everyone here?
startup purchase would be different. They're asking for 12, correct? Instead of that 17 that's listed on the package.
17,852.
But with the DNS, it's different.
I think they switched to and asked for 12.
Oh, 12, okay.
Everything that's gonna be on there before I ask for motion?
So it's to approve the LC and Powerware Print Student Run Enterprise with a $12,000 donation from the district to start up, or a loan, and then it will be repaid back. And then approve the $2,000 donation from Hooray from Hollywood, $5,000 donation from the LC School Store, $17,000 donation from Russ Nowak and DNS Machines. And then also the approval of 2 youth apprenticeship positions, 1 in marketing and 1 in manufacturing.
Right, hearing all of that, do I have a motion to approve?
I will make that
I
motion.
have a motion by Linda. Do I have a second? Second by Jenny. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much for all your hard work. We appreciate it. So, kids do also. Next, we're gonna move on to talking about our library teacher in the intermediate. I think we had that discussion last meeting and now we're back again. So who wants to, you wanna talk or?
I can.
Okay, thanks.
So as I had mentioned in the last meeting, we did have some internal interest. However, I also reminded everybody that my hiring process is always fair game. I always look at external and internal candidates the same. Because truly, I just want to find the best fit for each position that we're hiring for. We had 9 applicants for that position. We chose to bring in 4. In the 4, we had a few complicated situations where prior to even interviewing, I felt like I needed to talk to Joellen about if this person was our finalist, what would this look like? Meaning, some of their backgrounds and experiences are just different than a general teacher would be. Some people came in with no bachelor's degree in educations, but bachelor degrees in public relations, or they went to school for their bachelor's degree in education, have a licensure that doesn't actually fit our grade level span. So talking a lot about the logistics of that, but through the end of the interviews, Angelina outshone everybody else. She is currently one of my 4th grade teachers, so obviously that's a really hard decision for our team to make, knowing that if you guys the hiring of Angelina, I'm having to repost yet again another position to have to fill for her spot. But that is something I'm absolutely willing to do. I have faith that she's going to do a fantastic job. She's got, I think, 14 years of total education experience, 11 of which have been at LCS in the 4th grade ELA position. She has, really high expectations for her students, strong relationships with staff and students, and then just a genuine passion for literacy. So she'll make a great instructional leader in that position. And then you have the rest of the, hiring recommendations. So I guess any questions for me on Angelina?
Anybody else have to add to it before I ask for a motion to approve? Do I have a motion to approve?
That motion.
I have a motion by Jenny. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second by Robin. Now discussion. Any discussion?
Just one of the things we talked about at the last meeting was about the cost savings. So I see Heather included what the cost saving would be at Angelina's salary level transferring in compared to the individual retiring out. So now to hire to replace, because obviously she was a regular classroom teacher, we could have a possibility or an opportunity to hire at a lower salary for that person, which would then increase the cost savings to the district overall. Is that a good understanding?
Potentially, yep. It's just like the last conversation we had, right? I'm always going to look at the hiring process the way I've always looked at it. I know we used the term rock star last time. A rock star doesn't mean always a veteran teacher. It sometimes means brand new teachers as well. And I think there's proof in that in the 2 new hires I just had for 5th and 6th grade. They're brand new, fresh off, the press. They just graduated here at the end of May. So yes, I'm always going to look at it the same way I've always done it. I'm always going to try to be mindful of where our district is at from a financial standpoint. But yes, there's definitely that possibility. Benny.
Okay, other questions? If not, I'm gonna ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries. Position moves forward. Thank you. Thanks, Heather, for getting everything through also. Next, we're moving on to our fuel bids. Joellen or Rebecca?
Yep, so yearly we send out for bulk fuel bids. I received only 3 this year. Country Visions, Ellisville and Garrow. In the past, we've kind of gone with generally, whoever the lower bidder is. That being said, I know, 2 years ago, we had some concerns with Garrow, with the mix up. I do think that they're trying to, rectify that relationship. So he bid actually very low this year. And me just kind of business manager watching areas of money. In the past, it was like $1,000 difference when we chose Ellisville, and this year it's $3,400, just using an example with the $3 per gallon. So my recommendation was to go with Garrel for 26, 27.
Right. Hearing that, I expect that, so.
Discussion before or?
Why don't we ask for a motion in a second, then we'll discuss, Dave, if that's okay. Do we have a motion to accept? Do we have a motion?
I'll make the motion to.
Okay. Motion by Robin. I have a second. If we have a second, then we can have a discussion, then we can vote. But until we have a second, we can't have a discussion. Second by John. Now let's have discussion before we vote. Go ahead. Dave.
Looking at local business that has supported our district many ways throughout the years. And we're looking at a relatively insignificant difference. I just looking at where we sit with Ellisville, Luxemburg, in my opinion, is the better way to go. Sometimes you can be penny wise about food or whatever, but if you come down to a vote, I've got to vote no.
Is there other discussion about it? Here's what Dave said.
So I'm a little confused, I think. So total cost of fuel example, that difference is
600.
only 600, yeah, but the annual cost difference, 3,400.
Is that correct, Rebecca?
You're saying the difference between what Ellisville and Garrow?
Just what we're seeing.
The price per load multiplied by
Yeah, that's what. Thank you.
What was the problem with Girl?
So 2 years ago, we had gelling, am I correct, in the tank, because the additive, right? Was, they did not, it was not included. It was not put in. It's, my personal opinion, it was kind of on both parts. Dan was new as the mechanic and Dave Budsman did not share information of that you need to order that. And, but then the end of Garrow, they indicate we should have told them that. I mean, I don't know. And you have other companies that say that we should have known, that they should have known that that's what we'd have to have. So it's,
Cause the winterizer was part of our bid and it was January.
it was part of the bid, so
So, I mean, so it's kind of like-
it is, yes. Correct,
but not in that particular order.
because it's not on every order, correct, so I mean, yes,
So it was a miscommunication.
correct.
All right, board members, other discussion, and remember, we always have the ability as a board, if you want to change your motion, that is perfectly okay to do that, as long as John's okay with that happening. Also, we certainly can, if we choose not to go with the lowest bid, Rebecca is doing what we typically do. And the board has that authority to go outside of those parameters if we choose it's a better fit for the district.
I would like to reject my motion that that's a really expensive mistake
So
and it's super inconvenient to us, which would cost us way more than $3,000 if we have to go fill it somewhere else.
fair enough, Robin. John, are you okay with that? If 100%. Okay, so would someone like to make a new motion that if we're rejecting what was presented to us as the recommendation, is there another recommendation that we could ask for a motion?
I would like to make a motion to go with Ellisville.
Okay, so we have a motion by Linda.
I'll second
And
that.
we have a second by Dave. We have more discussion. If not, we're gonna ask for a roll call vote, just that it's clear, that Alex doesn't vote here. So all in favor of taking Ellisville, even though there'd be a little increase in cost, but they're local. If that's the route we want to go, I'm gonna ask for a roll call. John?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
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 And yes. Okay, so everyone has that taken care of. Thank you, board members, for doing that. Next, we're going to move on to discussion and approval of a replacement for bus purchase. You want to start with that, Rebecca?
Yes, I'll start, and then I do have Dan here in case you guys had more questions. But if you recall the bus, incident that we had, I believe that was March, did end up being totaled by our insurance company. And they did indicate, we would be getting, almost $49,666. We have not received that yet. Did they pick up the bus?
Yeah.
Okay, so they have picked it up, so I know it should be coming. But knowing that, we want to replace it just because we currently only get 2 buses every year, which is still kind of low on our rotation. So to not replace the one that we lost, I think is going to make things difficult later in the future to get more buses. So I'm recommending, and I guess back up, There's 3 that are in stock, so we don't have to wait a year for the manufacturer to produce one for us. So we received 3 in stock at census. The recommendation though is to go with the 2026 72 passenger bus with the Cummins diesel engine. It is 135,700, which is still less than what we purchased brand new with it sitting on the lot, and then minus what that refund check would be for the total. So we're looking at $86,033. Do you have any other things to fill in? No? Sure.
Thanks, Dan. Do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to get the 2026.
All right, motion by Linda. Do I have a second? Second by Alex. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is discussion and hopefully approval to replace a concrete slab by the bus garage. Have to talk about that, or do I understand what's going on?
Do you want to talk about more like what's happening? I mean, blacktop is deteriorating, right?
So, Jim Google used to patch those holes every year and push it out. In winter, we end up pulling buses out because the front wheels freeze in. The only way to fix it is going to be dig it out, put concrete.
Okay, hearing that,
Yep, so then he did get 3 bids for me, Spartan Construction, then New Home Services and Hain Transport. And talking with Dan, he was more comfortable going with Spartan, knowing they're local, but he said they've done more flat work and he's not really, doesn't know the other 2 companies very well. So recommendation is to go with Spartan Construction.
Been done.
Yes, they did that other sidewalk with Jesse. Yeah, absolutely.
right, so hearing the recommendation for Spartan. Motion by Dave, do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by John. Discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next, we have something we had talked about already, our CISA 7 rep. At our last meeting, remember, we voted on all that kind of stuff, and Jenny was nominated as our CISA 7 rep. After I think Jenny's realized the time that had to go into it, we had a discussion about it. And she was asking if maybe she didn't have the time, stated that might be too much for her. So that is why Dave filled in to go to that first meeting for her. So he was nice enough to fill back in and do it. So I was gonna bring it back to the board. So we officially can do this. Jenny has said it's gonna be too much for her. So now I'm looking for nominations to have another CISA 7 rep, is I think how we should do that. So, okay. Do I have a nomination for someone to be our new CISA 7 rep?
Nominate Dave.
I have a nomination for Dave. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by John. Do I have any other nominations? Do I have any other nominations? Hearing none, all in favor of Dave as being our CISA 7 rep, say aye.
I abstain.
Oh, that's okay. And opposed, motion carries. Thank you, Dave, for doing that. Thanks, Jenny, for trying.
It's a monthly meeting, starts at 5:15. There's no compensation for it other than the fact that you have a light lunch to go with it or meal to go with that. But it's a great opportunity to learn from other school districts and other schools.
And Dave's been doing it many, many years and doing a great job at it. So thanks,
I
Dave.
enjoy it.
Next, we're gonna move on to our CISA 7 contract. Roland?
So this contract is the second year of a 2-year contract for our learning services. And so we paid the fee for the 2 years during the first year at a reduced rate. So this contract is really for a 1-year contract for audiology, learning for independence, and the learning networks.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve, board members?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Linda, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Jenny, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next is approval, hopefully for Peel Area School District contract for 2026-2027. virtual education. Joellen, you want to talk about that at all?
Yeah, we switched to Kiel Area School District for virtual school services from JEDI a couple of years ago, and we've been happy with the services. They have the added benefit of being able to offer online special education services within the curriculum. So that is a distinct advantage, and so we want to keep working with them.
I'll make that motion to approve.
I have a motion by Jenny. Do I have a second? Second by Linda. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, we're gonna look for our open enrollment applications for 2026-2027. Joellen?
Yeah, so our open enrollment is staying about the same. We had 2 applicants that have a disability where in January, the board had established caps for open enrollment. So those 2 students we would not be able to take as open enrollment students. We also have 1 regular student that we would be denying because of the caps that we established back in January, and that's for 2nd grade. So we have 45 open enrollment in students that had applied. We have 42 applications to be approved. Just a reminder, historically, about 62% of those who apply actually do come here. So it's not that full amount. We had 23 open enrollment seniors graduating this year. Last year, there were 20 open enrollment graduates. So we have 13 new open enrollment students out of the district. Last year, we had 12 open enrollment students that went out. Overall, currently there are 69 students open enrolled out. For this upcoming year, last year there were 70. Currently, there's 316 students open and enrolled in. Last year there was 305 that actually came in. Our projected open enrollment transfer amount is increasing from last year to this year to this next upcoming year. So the amount that follows each student with open enrollment goes up to about $11,000.
Okay, hearing all of that. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Dave. Do I have a second?
I'll start.
Second by Alex. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is approval of bus driver contract for 2026-2027. Well,
So besides certified staff, the only other staff that are required by state statute to have contracts are bus drivers. So these are the bus driver contracts.
seeing what you have in front of you, do I have a motion to
I'll
approve?
make-
Motion by Linda. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Jenny. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next, we're gonna look at approval for extended contracts. You'll see there's a list of people there. Roland, do you want to talk about that?
Tyson, do you want to go first?
Or Tyson, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
So at the high school level, we've got kind of 3 different categories for additional summer hours. The first one is our shop guys. Obviously, we have a lot of routines between wood shop, welding and all that, so during the year, there's not a whole lot of time to maintain them. During the summer is when they take care of a chunk of that. So looking for 200 hours total, 40 hours for Norm Pittsburgh, 60 hours for TJ Weinfurter, 60 for us Wagner, and 40 for Meredith Delane. And then our high school counselor is looking for 100 hours each. The great thing about the high school is we have a lot of options for our students. The bad thing about the high school is we have a lot of options for our students, so it takes a lot for our counselors, especially with our juniors and seniors between youth apprenticeship, GB, TC, balance all those things, so those hours are to much finish off scheduling. And then the last one is 220 hours for our FFA advisor. It says on here Justine South, but she has resigned her position. We have egg interviews next Tuesday set up, so hopefully very soon we'll have somebody in place, but all these hours are for a lot of the FFA events that occur over the summer, as well as planning for the future year. So instead of saying Justine, it should say TBD essentially, but those are the hours at the high school level for additional hours.
For the high school counselor, though, too, about Jamie.
Yes, so I did find out last Friday that Jamie Vicky is also moving on. She's gonna go to West Superior Middle School, where she previously was. So she's gonna be very sadly missed. It's gonna be a tough one to fill, but we did get the job posted today. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, start interviewing for that position to get them in here to start to learn everything as well.
Right, so hers is also TBD then. too.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And then we have 80 hours of curriculum support for Kyle Fays. This is what we've been doing every year. He helps with the district professional development in the summer. And we have 40 hours that go to Stacy Jokey. She's our Title I coordinator. Title I is a federal program to help early readers. And there are multiple requirements. There's family, community events that have to happen. There is a huge amount of accountability reporting that needs to go along with this as well. And so Stacy gets the extra hours to do that additional reporting and requirement work.
Okay, thank you. Hearing all of that, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a move.
Motion by Alex, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Robin, discussion, all in favor say aye. Opposed, motion carries, thank you. Next is approval of 2026-2027 wage increase for non-certified staff.
Sure. So CPIU is 2.63%. And so our recommendation, we already talked about this in our HR committee, is to add to the salary schedule another longevity column, and that column would read 20+ years, would be an increase of $1.50 over the next highest column, or the highest column that was in this particular year, 25-26. Looking at other districts, LC starting wages are comparable for our support staff, but our highest wage is significantly lower than other districts. So this will change that. It doesn't bring us up to the top. It doesn't bring us, we're still kind of on the low end, but we're higher than, we're a little bit more compatible. Thank you. Comparable. And this honors changes, this honors longevity and, hopefully this will help with retention for non-certified staff. We're looking at increasing the salary schedule, the rest of the cells by 2.63%, except for the new one that we're adding. Our non-certified hourly employees would have an increase of 2.63 off their individual hourly rate. Non-certified salary employees would get 2.63 increase off their individual salaries. We would like to raise the substitute teacher rate from $40 to $50 per day to be more competitive with sub rates in the area. Bus drivers, we're looking at a 50% increase for full day route and other trips. The activities advisors and athletics, they would get a % increase off the base wage increase based on certified staff schedule, which will be coming. That is typically how that schedule is set up. And then we're asking for a raise for our curriculum rate for $25.16 to $27.16. That's a $2 increase. That is a significant increase. It's a 7.95%, but our curriculum rate has not increased in over 6 years.
I think it's 3 or 4.
Not since I've been here, so.
It's been a while.
before, yeah. So it's been a while since we've increased it, and this is also our summer school rate, and in summer school, teachers are free agents. So if they want to go work for another district that pays more for summer school, they can do that if they want. In fact, we do have some, we have at least one teacher that I know of that works in another district but lives in our district that actually teaches summer school for us so that they don't have to do the commute in the summertime. So we're just trying to make that a little bit more comparable to what curriculum rate and summer school rate is in the surrounding districts as well.
Hearing all of that, do I have a motion to approve?
I will make that motion.
I have a motion by Linda, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by John, discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, thank you. Next is discussion / approval of sick leave payout for support staff.
So this is something that Rebecca and I have been talking for a while. Right now, teachers and administrators have a sick leave payout benefit, and it's so many dollars depending on how many years you've been with the district, based on how many sick days that you haven't used. This proposal would add that same benefit to our support staff. So then that would also help encourage, banking their sick days versus using them. It provides a longevity benefit as the dollar amount increases for the longevity that they've been in the district. We have had an actuarial study done to make sure that this was affordable. So we'd like to offer this to our support staff.
Hearing all of that, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Alex, do I have a second by Linda? Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is discussion / approval of vacation time for part-time year-round staff.
Right.
Ellen?
And this was discussed also in our HR committee, as was the previous motion. We have not had part-time year-round staff. And then within the last couple of years, we now have 2 positions that are part-time year-round. However, our handbook language does not provide for them to be able to have a vacation, even though they're working year-round. And so we're just going to be changing the language a little bit so that those employees that are part-time year-round staff get a vacation.
Hearing all of that, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by John, do I have a second? Second by Alex. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Next is we're gonna go through our handbooks. Let's start with primary school. Pete?
All right, just a few, very few changes, but first one, and I think they're all highlighted in your packets. But the cell phone policy on page 14, all I did was update it to include those smartwatches too, because kids will show up with watches and they're going off and causing a distraction, so we kind of want to be able to squash that a little bit. The next thing was, there was a section in there about our EEN program, which had some outdated language in it, and really, Jane talked to me about it. None of the other handbooks have that section. It's something that we provide anyways when there's student needs. So it didn't really need to be in the handbook, so I struck that out. Then on page 22, the ML program, that's just changing it from EL to ML, which is our learners. So, and then next path was basically it's the same. It's what's replacing EduClimber. So all I did was go in and take out EduClimber and put in next path.
Anything else in there, Pete?
I don't think so. Yeah, I think that was it.
Hearing all that from Pete, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
Motion by Alex, do I have a second? Second by Linda, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next will be our intermediate school, Heather.
Sure. So also some minor changes with the exception of the cell phone / other personal technology section. So for absences, it's just trying to encourage families to also send a note after they've entered something into the attendance monitor or call. Since we've got an attendance monitor, for whatever reason, that practice has subsided, but it's become very complicated for our teachers to really keep tabs on where everybody is and when kids are leaving. So that's just a minor adjustment. The cell phone / other personal technology update is the biggest one of the handbook, and it's that I'm just truly now taking on away for the day that Todd had created a few years back. Like Pete said, we just can't keep up with personal technology. Honestly, cell phones aren't even the issue. It is the smartwatches. We have kids going into the bathroom constantly and texting their parents to come pick them up, and all of a sudden we get blindsided. The parent shows up. We had no idea that the child was ill or not wanting to be at school. So at this point, we just would like to fully get rid of all tech throughout the school day to ensure that our learning is the priority. But that way also the lines of communication remain between us and we're able to adequately support our students and families. Food and drink, it's just trying to make healthy choices. Items not allowed is another issue for us. The amount of, I'm going to call them toys. The kids are calling them fidgets. They're really not fidgets, but at this point, we're just trying to differentiate the difference between a toy and a fidget. So is it a tool or a toy is the way we're using it and phrasing it. And it'll be at the discretion of each teacher to decide if it's a tool or a toy. Lunch account, Deb just had us strike one line in the handbook, and it basically just said that we will not penalize students that are in a negative balance, and that they would get a regular school lunch and not a bank lunch. And that supports our board policy as well, which we say that they will continue to get regular lunch, not a bank lunch. And then lastly, schedule of fees. As always, we update those every year. Obviously, at the last board meeting, we talked about the increase in lunch, hot lunch as well as milk. So those are my updates.
Motion, somebody? Not, I'll be looking for a motion to approve. Motion by Robin, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Dave, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carries, thank you. Next is our middle school handbook, Todd?
A lot of highlighting. I'll admit I forgot to highlight a couple of things, like I need to update the mission and vision, like I think Tyson remembered to do a strategic plan. But I have the priority values on there, so I would like to update those. Just a few things here and there, just adding the word 10 along with the word 10 for attendance. That was on page 5. Getting into page 7, I struck the word cafeteria. I don't know how I left it in there that long, but the middle school kids are not allowed to go into the cafeteria for that vending machine during the school day. They have a vending machine right outside the office. Again, the EL/ML program, as Pete had referenced, similar for the middle school. On page 9, the same thing that Deb advised for the lunch account, striking that. Updating from Mrs. Alexander to Mrs. Peter Silka on page 10. We have student council again, as opposed to Spartan ambassadors. So updating that. Pete mentioned next path. Having the student language instead of the gender language, and then grading there, just thought it was cleaner with student or students. The honor roll, we updated that. That was under advisement over the course of the last year when we had updated our grade scale to be the same as the high school. We had neglected to update this information for how we compute the honor roll, so that is fixed. Just adding a little definition to who we consider to be a guest teacher. And then I added some policies to a few spots that I was surprised I didn't have on there. The cell phone tech policy on page 15 and a few others as we go. Code of classroom conduct on page 17. The bullying and anti-harassment policies on page 18. In the suspension expelled language, we've had in there that suspension could cause a student to lose the privilege of a school dance. And we don't always have a school dance. Sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So if we broaden it to include the language of fun privilege, that could include if a dance is next, or if there's some kind of a fun activity that is next. And then I included board policies there. Alcohol, drug policy, board policy with weapons and explosives. Just updating a number of those things.
Questions for Todd before I ask for a motion? Nothing. Do I have a motion to approve? Motion. Motion by Linda, second by John. Discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. And then our high school student handbook. Tyson?
So I'll go through kind of the biggest changes on here, go to the 7, which is the cell phone policies. So obviously last October, new laws put in place around schools having to have policies with cell phones and things like that. So what I did was I got a group of teachers together for us to start having conversations about this back in January. We had 3 2-hour meetings around cell phones when it came to it, and it went all the way from, do we adopt the away from today, similar to how the middle school does? Do we do a modified version of it? Long story short, where we kind of landed on with, for a multitude of different reasons, is not going the full away for the day, but as students come into classrooms, putting their phones into a bin or at the start of class, and then they get them back at the end of each class. There are probably 8 or 9 teachers that are currently already doing this in the high school, and they say it is working really, really well in their classrooms. I also reached out to all of the schools in our conference to see what they're doing with cell phones and things like that. Little Shoot got back to me and said they have been doing this very similar thing for the past 3 years, and it's been going fantastic. For them, Clintonville moved to away for the day this past year, and obviously it's only in their first year of doing it, and they've had kind of mixed with it where it's been working well and other times it hasn't been working well. But through our conversations as well, putting phones into bins at the beginning of class checked the most boxes for it. Some of the things we talked about as well, with a lot of our college classes that our students take, whether it's through GD, TC, or Bellin, the programs they use have two-factor authentication when they're logging into them. So if their phones are in their lockers and they're trying to pull up this during class, they now have to run to their lockers to try to do the two-factor authentication. So they're going back and forth more often for that. Whereas if it's in the classroom, they can just go to the organizer, pull it out, do their authentication, and then they're good to go with that. Our YA employers get a hold of our students a lot throughout the day, with schedule changes and things like that. So that was another concern when it came to that. So this is the policy after all the meetings with the staff that we landed on that felt checked the most boxes. We also sent surveys out as well. So we did a staff, student, and parent survey. To no surprise, 98% of students were completely against away for the day. No shock there whatsoever. But I took the time to read every single survey because I wanted to know what the comments were. And the one big comment that really stuck out to me was, in the high school, we're always trying to preach, we're preparing you for college, we're preparing you for the real world, but now are we going to treat you like a child and take your phone away from you completely? Or are we trying to teach you some responsibility with that phone away? So even though I knew they were going to be against it, I read the comments, and that one really stuck out to me, and that was from a lot of students, that it is kind of our responsibility to be teaching them how to be responsible with them as well. So with this, it's away during instructional time, but they still have their phones between passing time and at lunchtime as well. The other thing that we did want to put into this policy as well is the wireless headphones. We have a big problem with students, especially with longer hair, that are putting in the AirPods and then they're just using their hair to cover it up, and all of a sudden the teacher is calling on them and calling on them and calling them. They can't understand why they're not answering them. Well, pull the hair back and there you go, they got their wireless headphones in there. So not taking away headphones completely, but just the wireless ones, because they're being more and more sneaky with trying to hide them, is what they're. So that's where we kind of landed on this change to policy. One, like I said, we have multiple staff that are already doing it, seeing a lot of success. Little Shoot has seen success. And we felt that this is the one that would check the most box, is what it would be. So that's where we landed on cell phones, as well as the wireless headphones are in there. As we're going down here, we changed the word to in the dance regulations that just take out the word drinking, put in alcohol and drugs, because that was the intent behind the word drinking, but didn't actually state it. The next path, note that others have mentioned as well. Next on page 9 and into 10, for years, we've always drug tested students that are in athletics as well as get a parking permit, but we've never actually had a policy stated in the handbook about what the process is and what they look like. So Jenny and I developed one to put in here, and the main reason is to be more transparent so that they know what it is, how you get identified, and then how the process goes for that. Moving down then on page, I think that the last big one on page 14 for lockers. Through the conversations with that cell phone group as well, a big thing that came out was backpacks in classrooms, and so we're putting in that bags, backpacks, and purses are required to be put into lockers and not brought into class. The biggest main reason for that is a safety issue. If you walk into a classroom, you don't have a lot of space in there, and now you have 25 backpacks that are all over the floor as well. It makes for a safety issue, and that's a big one that we talked about during that we wanted to put in there as well. And then the last one, parking in vehicles. You'll notice that I've taken a lot out, and the main reason that I was taking a lot out is because we had on here in the handbook, it said, these are some of the parking restrictions, but there's more on the application. Well, I thought it was foolish that we had some stuff here, some stuff on the application. So I just moved everything from here over to the parking permit application. So it was all in one space as well. So just trying to clean it up a little bit was the intent behind that. Some of the fees, you'll notice there, I am looking to increase some of the graduation fees, which I'll talk about a little bit further in the agenda. Parking permit, we're also, right now, it's $30 whether you purchase it on September 1st or May 1st. Which to me seems kind of foolish if you're somebody who gets your license in May and you're paying $30 for less than a month to park. So we're putting it in here that if they're purchasing after the start of second semester, it's $15. Was our thought on that one. That is the bulk of the big ones.
Alright, do I have a motion to approve?
Do you foresee, can I ask a question?
You go ahead.
Foresee having problems with the study hall section of home policy?
So we actually, so Cindy Dart obviously does our study halls and she's been doing it for a long time. We actually, Jenny and I brought her in, we talked for about half hour, 45 minutes about that. Should we do it during study hall, should we not? And at the end, we kind of landed on, no, we should not, because there's always something that students should be working on. But there is the wording in here that, unless authorized by school personnel. So let's say you do have somebody that has absolutely everything that's done. Well, Cindy can see that and they can note that. And if they do, then she does have the ability to say, okay, you can use your phone during this time. I think with any of it, it's gonna be that first 2 weeks. If we're hitting it hard and we're hitting it hard for the first 2 weeks, it'll go a lot smoother after that. Another big thing we talked about as well is when you look at the high school data, our reading scores are the ones where we struggle most. Well, if you can't have your phone, get out a book and read a book as well, because it's a need in the school as well. So I think with anything, it's just gonna take the first couple of weeks.
Okay. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Linda, do I have a second?
Sorry.
Second by Alex, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, thank you. Next is our intermediate school co-curricular code of conduct, Heather.
I didn't make any changes this year. I kind of had the overhaul last year, so I'm staying status quo with where we're at.
All right, doing that, do I have a motion to approve? Motion by Alex, do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Linda, discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Co-curricular code of conduct for the middle school.
As a reminder, this is rooted in the high school code. So it's like a 3-page version of the high school code. So Jenny had given me a heads up that she was going to be adding education-based athletics into the philosophy. So I added that. I understood that the high school was going to be recommending eliminating item E under conduct expectations. So to be in keeping with that, I'm eliminating that. Adding managers of the sports teams for the middle school. When we have managers, the coaches like to treat them like the rest of the team. And so this has them there. And then added musical in one act because for the last couple of years, we've had middle school students involved in a musical and in one act. So it wasn't just a part of the high school portion. In the act, I added amplify with Bell and Health because I don't know if they're going to update their form or not, but for the academic requirements part, with some wrestling tournaments, with the musical, with one act, there are a few things that start on a Friday night and it goes the whole weekend. And our ineligible period is typically Saturday to Friday, Saturday to Friday. So because of those, making clear in the language that the ineligibility period leading into a musical, leading into a tournament that includes a Friday night would just be the previous one. And then the others are pretty straightforward. I added the word bullying to the level 2 violation just to call it out specifically there.
Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Motion by Alex, do I have a second? Linda, you second that? Second by Linda, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Next is our high school full curricular code of conduct. Jenny, and welcome, Jenny. You're welcome.
Okay, so yeah, we're gonna have education-based athletics, with philosophy, randoms, drug testing. We don't provide the consent for the online registration now. For the school dances, me and Tyson talked about this, we feel these kids are getting the punishment enough in the full curriculum, it's the athletics, and why should they be punished twice? The other students being punished twice, so we are recommending that the school dance. That's not part of being part of the course, that's voted on anyways by the kids. So our recommendation is taking it out. Then for cyber images, just, and we added the AI, just kind of adding the AI portion of that, so we're aware of it. The appeals process, there's no different steps now, we can eliminate one. For the different groups, I moved a couple of the from group 3 to group 2, like forensics and math team, because they have actual competition, so we can do a percentage. The group 2 can do a percentage, or we can do the hours. And then we got, some of those don't exist, so band one doesn't exist, English team. We actually took out managers of sports team because, so if our kids are on a code violation, they can still go to games. And they can still practice, so I don't know how we set up that stuff yet. I don't, it's like a service anyway, so we feel like it shouldn't be on it, 'cause I don't know how to actually, I don't know how to set up. Because athletes are able to go with it. Newspaper does not exist. I took NHS out because they have their own rules. They have their own set of rules that they follow. Say I have an article beyond exist. I highlighted those ones in yellow just because, just a little discussion. Again, Best Buddies, Littles Club, Skin Cancer Yearbook, those are all kind of service things. Again, a lot of schools don't include those in their code because they are service things. It's just, again, I don't know how I would sit them out there listed under group 4. So like skin cancer is one event. So I think it's just more of a discussion thing. I usually work with the advisor to come up with a way that they're serve that time. Level 2 violations on 6, the loitering, we talked to Mia, she's like, there is no loitering, they can't get a loitering ticket, so. And we have a lot of places around here where they can go eat, so we just took that out. Under level 3, we just wanted to clean, a lot of this is cleaning up language, it seemed very, like, just too long with just use, possession, transfer, distribution or purchase of, or be under the influence of tobacco, nicotine, or illegal control stuff. It seemed a little too wordy for us. We are recommending to add malicious false accusation with the whole AI thing. If we knowingly find out that they're trying to get someone on in trouble with AI, we've added that. Again, for on page 9, that's it's WIU policy, but it was really wordy, so we just put it in ChatGPT. It was hard to understand, so we wanted it to actually be something we could understand what the whole thing is being convicted of felony. So the policy is not actually changed, it's just the wording. And then as Todd said, for when they come from middle school, they have a fresh start with everything. They have a fresh start with grades, all those things. So I talked to all the other schools in the conference, and no one has where that stuff carries over. So we felt like it should all be consistent, that they have a fresh when they come from middle school. And then the transportation, I'm going to put that as a part of the online registration. So I'm just changing the language of how we're going to be getting that information. For the scholastic requirements, I had including non-medical incompletes, and that's not the WIA rules, so we have to act. So any incomplete would make them ineligible until they complete that. And they can regain eligibility immediately. They don't have to do that time if they do it incomplete. And then age requirements, I'm not sure where that language was, so I just struck that out because it's not a WI rule. And I think that's it.
Do we have a motion to approve? Just a good question. Okay, go ahead.
Online, page 9, and we talked about there's some hard to tell. Yeah, you can be charged for not, and end up found innocent, but based on this, if I read it right, you're screwed. Pardon my language, but that's the way I got it.
That's a WIA.
That's a
rule.
WI.
It's not a rule specific.
Okay,
That is a WIA specific.
okay.
To your point, yes.
Yeah.
They are, I mean, even if, so the rule does it like, if all of a sudden it is, the crime is removed, then you're immediately eligible again. Yeah, the WI rule is even if, once that student is charged, they have to sit out.
Hearing that, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make a move.
Motion by Alex, do I have a second? Second by John, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed?
No. Yeah. I don't like that, even though we had no say on it. It's just not fair.
Fair enough.
Are you-
He said no. I
So
said
you
no.
were,
He's opposed, yeah. Next, we're moving on to approval of membership for renewal for WIA. Jenny, you want that?
We're just gonna get approval.
Nothing else? Okay, we have a motion to approve.
I'll make
that motion.
I have a motion by Jenny, second by Linda. Discussion, all in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next is increase of graduation fee. Tyson, you have something you want to say about that?
Yeah, so we've got kind of 3 different tiers for graduation fees as we have, and it's whether that student is purchasing the cap, gown, tassel, the full set, or if they're just purchasing the cap and tassel set, because they might be borrowing a gown from a sibling, or if they're just purchasing the tassel. The graduation fee also goes to pay for diplomas, diploma covers, as well as graduation flowers, decorations, et cetera. So currently at our top tier, it's $50 that we're charging, and you can see the cost breakdowns here. I'm not proposing any change to that whatsoever. Keeping that at $50 makes sense because that's right where the numbers are. However, the last two, and we do have smaller amounts of students that are purchasing at these fees. I think last year, at this second tier one, it was like 15 students, and the bottom one, I think it was like 9. But right now, currently for this middle one, we're charging $25. But when you throw in the cost of diplomas, covers, flowers, and fees, it actually brings it closer to $35 is what it is. So that's why I've been recommending the increase from 25 to 35. And then the last one, if it's just the tasseling, currently they're paying $10. But as you can see, when you throw in all those fees, it actually is closer to 23. So that's why I'm recommending the increase from $10 to 23 for that. So not recommending any change at the top one, but those bottom ones, just so that it's more in line with what the actual costs are that we are incurring. And then obviously that they're getting for graduation.
And that's from Tyson. Do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Jenny, second.
Second.
Second by Linda. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next is a replacement for our grounds plow truck. Is anybody from building and grounds that has anything you want to say about that, or?
The meeting seemed, it was time, the old truck's falling apart, and if we're gonna continue to do some of our snow removal, we gotta have a truck. So
Has in front of them, so hearing that, do I have a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Alex, do I have a second?
A second.
Second by Robin, discussion, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next, replacement of a Bobcat UTV, Alex, anything you want to say?
Same thing, salting, and very much left to it. And
Like-
we were limited to size because of the sidewalks, so we kind of had to go with, the Kubota, so.
Like, keep going, Alex. Thank you. I don't have to talk. Joe, I'm good. Doing really well.
I have a motion to approve.
Like a,
Motion by Alex, second by John, discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Next, we're moving on to replacement of a high school lift. I'm not sure who wants to talk about that.
Old one broken.
Yep.
All right, that's our discussion then. So do we have a motion to approve?
Appreciate
Robert, are you making a motion?
I'll make.
All right, Robin's making a motion. Do we have a second?
Sorry.
Second by Alex. Discussion. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. And next we have a discussion of our first reading of policy, 5136. Anybody have questions on that? No? If not, I'll be looking for a motion for first reading. Motion by Dave. I have a second.
I'll second.
Second by Jenny. Discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Thank you. Nothing for informational items. And I'll be looking for a motion to move into closed session. Is that motion? By Jenny, do I have a second?
Also.
Second by Alex. I'm gonna have a roll call vote. John, start out.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
And yes, we're in closed session. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Anybody know when the last time parking permit fee was increased?
Okay.
Was that when you first came, I think?
We did all foods.
All food and maybe four.
Hey, Jenny.
Probably 3 years, right?
And the outcome?
Careful with fees and how we charge it. We're talking about 5 fees, what food special. And we looked at when we did parking fees, we looked at all the other schools and what they charge.